The palace had changed. Not in a way that could be photographed, not in a way that could be announced, but in the way it felt. The air seemed heavier now, the silence thicker, as if the walls themselves were holding secrets they were afraid to release. Silence no longer rested, it listened. Every corridor echoed longer than before. Every footstep sounded like a question. Every whisper seemed to travel farther than it should. The aide felt it first. At the beginning, the secret had terrified him. It lived in his chest like a stone. It tightened his throat when Helena passed him in the hallway. It followed him into his dreams, where envelopes bled ink and doors refused to open. For weeks, fear ruled him. But fear, when it is not confronted, does not stay fear. It changes, slowly, quietly, almost politely. Fear rots. And when fear rots, it becomes something far more dangerous, confidence. Now the secret no longer frightened him, it entertained him. He walked the palace halls differently now. His shoulders were straighter, his steps slower, measured, deliberate. Like someone important might walk, like someone who belonged. People noticed. Guards nodded faster than before. Kitchen staff lowered their voices when he entered. Junior officials hesitated, unsure whether to finish their sentences in front of him. The aide pretended not to notice. But inside, something warm spread through him. Power. He had always believed power lived in crowns, in titles, in bloodlines. But power, he learned, required none of that. Power required information, and he had it. It started small. A better breakfast tray. A private cup of coffee waiting before sunrise. A chair pulled out without being asked. Little things. Insignificant things, but they added up. Helena never said yes to his requests. She never said no. She simply allowed things to happen. That silence was intoxicating. It made him feel protected, chosen, special. And dangerous men always feel chosen right before they fall. The moment came quietly. No ceremony, no raised voices, no warning, just routine. Small palace meeting, nothing historic, nothing that would ever be remembered. The king stood near the tall window, hands clasped behind his back. His gaze rested outside, but his thoughts were elsewhere. They had been elsewhere for days. Helena sat at the table, back straight, hands folded, face unreadable. The same calm she had worn for decades. The aide entered with documents. Paperwork, mundane, forgettable. And without thinking, without fear, without remembering his place, he bowed slightly and said, "Of course, Your Majesty." The words did not land. They hovered, suspended in the air like dust caught in sunlight. The room stopped breathing. A pen froze mid-motion. Someone shifted their weight, then stopped. Even the walls seemed to listen. The king turned slowly. Not angrily. Not shocked. Carefully. "What did you just say?" the king asked. The aide felt his mouth move before his mind caught up. "I meant respectfully," he laughed. A figure of speech. The laugh sounded wrong. Too loud. Too eager. The king studied him. Not like a ruler studies a servant, but like a hunter studies movement in tall grass. "Interesting choice of words," the king said. No smile. No anger. Just observation. Helena lifted her teacup. She sipped slowly. She did not correct the aide. She did not react. She did not look at her son. And that silence frightened the aide more than the king's stare ever could. That night the aide could not sleep. The palace felt louder after dark. Every creak sounded like footsteps. Every shadow felt occupied. He replayed the moment again and again. "Your Majesty." Why had he said it? Because part of him believed it. Across the palace, the king sat alone in his office. The second DNA test lay unopened in his drawer, unread, unresolved, useless. His thoughts returned to the aide, too confident, too visible, too close to Helena, and Helena's silence disturbed him most of all. She had not corrected the aide. She had not reacted. She had accepted it. That night, the king summoned someone he trusted. "I want him followed," the king said quietly. No confrontation, no questions, just observation. The man nodded and disappeared into the shadows. Later, unaware, the aide walked alone through the palace, confident, Relaxed, he checked his reflection in a window, adjusted his jacket. He turned down a corridor he had no reason to enter, one that did not lead to servants' quarters, one that did not lead to the kitchens, but toward Helena's private wing. Behind him, unseen, someone followed every step. The aide stopped in front of an ornate door, restricted, silent. He hesitated. Inside were answers he was not ready for. Behind him were eyes he did not know were watching. He raised his hand to knock, and the palace held its breath.